Yeah, that's what we're doing. Open to ideas if anyone has any.
Awesome. Does anybody else want to share or have any questions?
I have a question.
Yeah, what's up?
Uh, yeah, my name is Andrew Kahn. I actually work for B Lab, um, and have been talking to as many companies as I can to kind of figure out how we could be supportive. And something that I've been hearing from like a branding marketing front that I would love to like get y'all's expertise on or thoughts on is businesses that have been forced to go online like exclusively and how they can continue to promote. And I apologize if this has already been addressed before I jumped on, but that balance in messaging and candor as far as promoting a product without being out of touch and tone deaf, and explaining that, for example, a company that needs to sell a product and wants to do some good with the product, how could they explain and be forthright with like where the money's going to a community, and that they also need it for their employees who aren't able to work right now, and how like candid to be with their situation in their messaging, as it's obviously like a dire situation, like not wanting to be reactive, say the wrong thing, but knowing that they need to make a push online. It's something that I've been hearing quite a bit about and would love to hear your perspective.
Yeah. I mean, I think that there's a lot of ways to go about this that are right. It's really has to be authentic to the company. And I think it has to be personal. I think that the folks who have been the most successful with this are people who have been really candid about what's going on, and who aren't afraid to kind of be vulnerable about where they're at. You don't want to be going out and being like, oh, like everything's about to shut down. But when we see folks who are really honest and forthright and say, like for us to stay afloat, we need to have, X many sales, or we need to continue running this so that we can, keep our employees on health insurance and support our local community. And, talking about kind of that supply chain and the vendors and things like that specifically, I think resonates. And then just being like, I think the biggest mistake that I see is when people don't mention what's going on. Like if you're going to be doing a sale or something, be clear about what's going on and like what the motivation behind that is, and like why it's so important beyond, I'm trying to make more money. I think the thing that feels really uncomfortable to me is like clothing companies emailing out and being like, get your cozy loungewear without like talking about what that means or why or who's impacted. Like it feels very tone deaf, and like everyone's just like staying at home, being cozy. Like there's just like a weird tone. Whereas I think like being really honest and saying, we had to shut down our retail locations, and that is going to be a huge hit on our business. But if you are still able to buy something, then please do. And also we're going to potentially, if this is feasible, donate 10% to Feeding America or whatever it is that resonates with them and their values. Feel free to hop on because all of you are marketing professionals
Appreciate that.
too.
Thank
I'm
you.
happy to hear from everyone.
Yeah, this is Karen. I work at Nose Family Coffee. I do our marketing. And what I've noticed is that people want to help and they also want to be helped. So, we've gotten a lot of messages like, what's the best way that I can help you, like help your business and help your employees right now? So like, we were like, we need to be very clear on like, what are the most powerful ways that people can support our business and our employees. I saw another B Corp coffee company recently did a really good job of this. Maybe I can share this.
Is that Equator?
So Equator is doing a really cool thing, and Olympia Coffee just posted this like less than a day ago. They have a new coffee called Tip Jar, and they're giving 100% of sales to their employees, which is just a really cool way to pivot to like how people can help. So I just thought that was, like coming up with like not trying to be perfect and like everything's happening in real time. So, things like this have to happen on the fly and be really, you want to be thoughtful, but like also maybe can't afford to wait on some things. So, like how BBPDX was like, yeah, we're going to launch this switchboard in a few months, but our community needed it now. And so we figured out how to launch it now, with the caveat that, yeah, there's going to be mistakes. It's not going to be perfect, but like think about what the community needs and what your followers and customers need right now that you may be able to give them sooner rather than later.
Can I ask a follow-up question? As a coffee company yourself, how do you feel about like the ethics and of like competition right now, and seeing an idea like that and trying it yourself, and like community amongst other coffee companies and other coffee B Corp companies?
Yeah, I mean, like we always share ideas, and like when we see one company trying something, like can say like how can we do something like this, but like serving who our customers and employees are. So yeah, we've definitely been thinking about like how can we give more to our employees. It's other companies have had like GoFundMe's for their employees and like baristas and service workers, which is really cool. But we decided to point people towards this other like tip jar platform. But yeah, I think definitely like looking at what's working for other companies and where they're getting good responses, and thinking like, how can I do something like this at my company? So like one thing we're going to try next week actually is doing a virtual coffee shop. So kind of like this webinar almost, but like imagine you're in, like a virtual coffee shop space and like talking to random people, and also sharing out like tips on brewing coffee at home. So just trying to like keep putting out content and like facilitating that social connection, because like what we found is like we've been putting a lot of things out there, I think more than usual, and people want that. Like they want, they're at home, they want something to do and see, and they love their companies that they follow. They have a lot of trust in like our company, and other B Corp companies especially, I think, connect with people really well. So just thinking about like how you can give content like that, or like serve your customers in like this time of need, really. Yeah.
I feel like that's such good advice, and just thinking about like where your audience is right now, and like what they need, and like what you can serve them with, like what's authentic to your brand. Because like for folks who are now working from home with kids, or who are cooking at home and they didn't necessarily cook every meal at home before, and things like that, kind of pivoting your content to be more inclusive of that. And even if that's just elevating the voices of folks who are creating that content and do normally create that content, you're able to kind of share more and be able to connect more deeply. And really, like, obviously not everyone can use Instagram stories as the best way to connect with people, but I do think that's a really collaborative platform where you're able to get real-time feedback, and like, I don't want to say like have fun, but like you're able to play a little bit more, and really engage with your audience one-on-one, and maybe even like Facebook Messenger and things like that. And then just like not overwhelming people with emails or something like that if there isn't like something in it for them, because I think everyone's kind of done with COVID-19 in a subject line at this point. Any other questions? Anything else that we can help with?
I had a question. I'm Russell with Grapevine Outdoor, and Abe is my partner over there. Is there going to be a common thread, like local thing to promote, like a hashtag? I think that there's been some talk about that in emails offline, or there's an email thread going around about that. But I think getting that, maybe for ours, there's a local angle, and there's also a B Lab kind of national angle, probably like fully inclusive, international. But it would be cool to kind of establish those sooner rather than later, so that we could start having a way to promote together. So just curious if that's getting established.
Yeah, so right now we're working with Ave and Russell as well as Beeline to work on building out like a billboard and social campaign that is cohesive. I would like that to all launch at the same time. So it's just about kind of getting all those assets together. I haven't really thought so much about like a branded hashtag yet. I'm not sure, and maybe this is just me being in like marketing paralysis, but I'm just not sure if it makes sense to like add more at this point, or if we should sort of piggyback on something like We Got This PDX, which I feel like is a really like a strong CTA. And then I know that B Lab itself are working on, like they've updated the messaging for B Corp month. That presentation is very different now to talk about like what we need to do. But there isn't necessarily like a unifying hashtag. And so that's something that I think will need to be part of the conversation as we move forward. I know that just right now, folks are so focused on like getting their employees into a good place and making sure that they can kind of get from today to tomorrow, that I think that that's kind of been the stress. It is something that is on my mind though. Any other questions, concerns, tips needed? Got about 4 minutes before we'll want to wrap up. Awesome. Okay. Well, we will probably be doing a lot more of these over the course of the next month. I think there's going to be a lot of experience sharing, and I really look forward to working with all of you as we move forward. We will, I don't know what the status of it is yet, but we'll be working to set up like an ABC marketing that's virtual. And so that'll be another opportunity for us all to connect and kind of brainstorm and figure out what we want to do as a community. And then definitely always feel free to join the Slack, sign up for the email. We are now on Instagram and LinkedIn, so you can follow us there as well if you need more posts from Be Local. But yeah, just really grateful for all of you spending your time with us today, and looking forward to connecting more in the future virtually, and then in person again, hopefully in the next few months. Awesome. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Giselle.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank
Bye,
you.
everyone.